Hey mama, taking care of yourself after you've given birth should be high on your priority list. And on that list, one of the big things to care for is the vagina. The vagina and vulva are incredible parts of the female body that have been built to stretch and allow for a baby to be born through them. But still, after birth, those parts have been through a lot, so giving them some extra TLC will go a long way. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to make easy padsicles with relieving and even better healing properties. I'm Bridget and I'm a birth doula in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I love helping moms love their pregnancy, birth, and their postpartum period. Join this community of mamas on the quest for an empowering birth and motherhood by subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. So I get a lot of questions about postpartum care, and I made a video all about self-care after having a baby, and in it I talk really briefly about padsicles, but I wanted to walk you through the process of making these soothing and healing postpartum pads that so many mamas have raved about. So by the end of this video, you'll know which products to use, how to use them, why they're beneficial, and then be that much more ready to rock your postpartum period. So first of all, before we jump in, let's talk about why you should be proactive about your vaginal care after the birth of your baby. So during birth, your cervix has to dilate to about 10 centimeters to allow your baby to pass through. And like your cervix dilates, your vagina and your vulva, which the vulva consists of all the external sex organs, and in this case of birth, like the labia or lips, especially needs to stretch to accommodate baby as well. And if you're wondering what 10 centimeters looks like, if you make your index and middle finger into the shape of a letter L, the distance between the two fingers is about 10 centimeters. So it might vary a bit from person to person depending on the finger or the hand size, and it's not like a nurse or a midwife is going in there to measure with a measuring tape or anything. It's really about an estimation for the amount of stretch that will happen to the vagina and vulva and the cervix as well. Now, if you're cringing at the thought of your vagina and cervix being stretched to 10 centimeters to allow your baby to come through, take comfort in knowing that your body was built to do just that. I've heard before that birth is like pushing an orange out of a nostril, and that's not at all the case because a nostril is not supposed to stretch that way and the vagina is. So instead, be amazed at what your body is capable of doing. But even though your body was created to support the birth of your baby, it does take a lot of work, and just like you take care of a muscle that you've strained after working out or running, you want to take care of your vagina and its surrounding parts. So especially if you've had a tear, which is very common, it's a good idea to pay special attention to helping your lady parts heal. And really quickly on the topic of tearing, I said it happens often, but really most tears are pretty minor and aren't something to be scared about. I talk all about tearing in this video that I'm linking up here, so if you're feeling nervous about tearing, make sure you check it out after this video. Okay, so we've established why taking care of your vagina and vulva is important after birth, and one of the best and easiest ways to do that is by using padsicles. So after you've had your baby, you're going to be bleeding anywhere between 10 days to about 6 weeks. And the reason why you're bleeding is that your body is getting rid of all that extra blood and tissue that you needed to have during your pregnancy to nourish your baby. So whether you've had a C-section or a vaginal birth, you're going to have this postpartum discharge called lochia. And so since you're already wearing a pad, you might as well make the most out of wearing it by jazzing it up with some ingredients that will help bring cooling relief and healing to that downstairs area. So let's jump in to what you'll need for your postpartum padsicles. So the first thing that you're going to want are maxi pads that are organic and chemical free. So many of our feminine products that we use contain chlorine, they contain fragrances, dyes, and other chemicals that can be really harsh on our bodies and have direct access to those really sensitive parts of our bodies. So even apart from your postpartum healing, I would really recommend choosing a brand that is healthy for your reproductive system, and then especially while you're healing after birth, having feminine hygiene products that are not toxic are so important. So I will link a brand called Lavia and Elle that both use organic cotton and are also chlorine, fragrance, and dye free if you are looking for those feminine products that aren't toxic for your body. So in this video, I am using Elle pads because they're what I currently currently use, but I would really recommend using the lavender ones at the beginning of your postpartum recovery because they are a little bit thicker and will probably work better during those first several days where you'll have more blood. And then when you run out of those pads, these L1s are perfect because they're not so thick, and by then you'll probably be recovered enough to not even need PADSICLES anymore. Now, the second thing you're going to want is aloe vera. So aloe vera is full of so many healing properties. It has enzymes and hormones and vitamins and minerals that all help with relief and healing. Again, you're going to want to use an organic aloe vera because you don't want to be putting any chemicals or pesticides that were used while growing the plant to get anywhere near your recovering vagina. So just like you use aloe vera when you've gotten a sunburn and you put it on your shoulders and then you feel that like super satisfying, cooling relief, that's going to be the same with putting it on your PADSICLE and then onto your lady parts. When aloe is applied topically, it's actually been shown to be an anti-inflammatory, and it also helps in wound healing and actually helps build collagen, which your skin needs in order to heal and stay nice and supple. So I've linked down below an awesome brand of aloe that I have here, and I just got the small one, but it's 7 minerals, and you may want the bigger bottle depending on how many PADSICLES you're planning on making. Now, the third thing that you'll need is alcohol-free witch hazel, and witch hazel has been traditionally known for its healing and anti-inflammatory properties, and it can actually help decrease bleeding and irritation of the skin around the labia or lips that have been caused by it being stretched to accommodate your baby being born. Now, it's really important that you have alcohol-free witch hazel because if it does contain alcohol, it's probably going to cause some stinging and then more irritation from it. So I'm using the Thayer's unscented witch hazel, which is one of the most natural ones that I found and actually has some aloe in it too. So again, I will link this one down below for you to get to use for these PADSICLES that we're about to make. And last but not least for these PADSICLES, I really recommend using lavender essential oil. Lavender has actually been medically studied for its healing effects during the postpartum period, and those studies have found that using lavender helps decrease redness and inflammation after having an episiotomy and also helps build collagen that helps in wound healing. So whether you've had an episiotomy or a natural tear, an abrasion, or just irritation from being stretched, lavender is extremely soothing and helps with healing as well. With any essential oil that you plan on using topically or internally, you must make sure that it is a therapeutic grade quality. So I use Aura Acacia, which offers all high quality and mostly organic essential oil options, and I will link the Aura Acacia lavender down below as well as the link to their website where you can learn all about the quality of their essential oils since I can't get into it right now. Now, before we go on, I have a quick question. I love using oils for just about everything, but especially when I was pregnant and for my birth and my postpartum recovery. So my question is, do you guys use oils, and what questions do you have about oils and using them during your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum? If you comment them down below, I will make a video and kind of talk about the essential oils that I used during those times. Okay, let's start making our PADSICLES, and I have everything that we just talked about right here on the table, plus I have a little spray bottle that's going to help me distribute our witch hazel and our lavender that we're going to put together, and it's not a necessity, but I will link it down below if you want to get it to help things like be a little bit more neat as you're making your PADSICLE. And then I also have these reusable bags that you can put your PADSICLE in so that you can put it in your freezer, and I just love these because they're reusable and better for the environment. So I will link those down in the description below as well. Okay, so first of all, you're going to want to unwrap the pad, but leave the outside wrapper attached to the back so that when you fold it up, once you're all finished at the end, it doesn't stick to anything. So I'm gonna leave the wrapping on the back here, and then I'll just take this off, but then I'll save it for later. And then you're also going to want to make sure that your hands and your area that you're working in is nice and clean before you begin. So with your pad open, you're either going to take your spray bottle that has your witch hazel in it and then about 5 drops of lavender. So we're just going to pour some of our witch hazel in here, just like that. And you really just need to put in as much as you need, and you can keep filling it up to as you go. But if you have a 4-ounce bottle like the one that I linked down below, then you're going to add about 5 drops of lavender oil to that that filled 4-ounce bottle of witch hazel. So I've poured my witch hazel in here, and then I'm just gonna add into this bottle some drops of lavender. So this is coming out kind of slow, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of lavender in there. And then you are just gonna spray it from the top of your pad to the bottom, and you want to get it so that it's wet, but not completely soaked all the way through. Now, if you don't have a spray bottle, you can just use it in a tablespoon, and it's going to be about 2 to 3 tablespoons of it on your pad, and you're just going to put some witch hazel in, and then do maybe a drop of lavender, and then spray it, and then pour it on, and then keep doing that until you have that 2 to 3 tablespoons on your pad. So once you have sprayed on enough of that witch hazel and lavender solution from your spray bottle, or using the tablespoon measurement, then you're going to put on a generous amount of aloe vera on the pad. So this small one actually comes in a squirt bottle, so I'm just going to eyeball it on the pad. And again, this is what makes your pad really nice and cooling. So you want to have enough so that it actually provides that cooling relief for you. And if you do want measurements, it's going to be about 1 to 2 tablespoons of it, and then you're gonna spread it all over the pad, but you wanna leave it off the wing. So I didn't put quite enough. So really do as much as you think you need, but it's probably going to be about that 2 to 3 tablespoons of it. And then spread it up and down just like that. So once you've got all those goods on there, you have your witch hazel with your lavender, you have your aloe vera on there. All you're going to do then is fold it back up like so. Remember, we left those wrappers on there for reasons that when we fold it back up like that, it's nice and covered and sealed, and it's gonna keep it clean. And then you put it in your little baggie, and then you throw it in the freezer. So if you're making these while you're pregnant, of course you can put several PADSICLES in here in your bag and then just put it in the freezer. And then when you are ready to use them, once you're in that postpartum period, you just take it out, let it thaw for a little bit, like 1 or 2 minutes, and then you put it in your underwear and just use it as a normal pad. However, if you are just making them as you go, maybe you just make one and you put it in your bag, put it in the freezer, just leave it in there for 2 or 3 hours. And then again, when you take it out, let it thaw for about 1 minute or 2 minutes, put it in your underwear, and then use it again as a normal pad. So there you go, super easy but super effective for healing and soothing your sensitive lady parts. Just a heads up, it might make your underwear or clothes or whatever you're sitting on a little bit wet depending on how much witch hazel you put on your pad. So maybe just sit on a towel or something if you notice you're getting a little bit wet when you're wearing it. Well, mamas, I hope this video has helped you prepare for postpartum. Whether you're pregnant and getting yourself ready to step into that postpartum season, or you're already in it, this is a community where we empower through education and encouragement, and I hope this video has helped you feel empowered as you navigate through whichever season of motherhood that you're currently in. So thanks for being with me in this video, mama, and I will see you in the next one.